Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 54. Got Big Box Steve on the mic, got Big Smooth and Fresh Wes back after missing last week. So we got the whole crew and we got lots of stuff to talk about tonight. Uh, Also, if you're watching this and you want to see our picks, we'll have another video with our March Madness picks. You can check that out. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Both videos will be available. But if you are watching this, we appreciate you guys watching, and don't forget to leave comments or anything you want to hear about. Happy to talk about that. But today for 54, we're going to talk about NFL, maybe get into some NBA stuff if there's some stuff you want to talk about there. But also, March Madness has started, so it's one of my favorite times of year, and we're going to talk a lot of March Madness today. But given that it is free agency and lots of stuff happening, trades and free agent signings and all kinds of stuff in the NFL, we got to talk some NFL. So before you guys, get all upset about what's happening in Vegas, uh, let's just talk about the Bears trade for a second. Um, so what's interesting is I mean everybody's talking like this is the trade of the century, best trade ever. Like they couldn't have done any better. I was a little disappointed that they didn't wait a little longer, but I'm not disappointed in the trade per se either because I think they got good value for what they traded. And but they're talking about like Poles is some kind of GM master now. I'm like, dude, okay, first of all, up to this point, he's already done some stupid stuff with Claypool, and I wasn't super happy with the Roquan move, and so yeah, this is a decent trade. So what are your guys' thoughts on so the Bears give up number one pick, they move back to ninth, they get uh so obviously they got the ninth pick, they get a first rounder next year, a second rounder the year after, and DJ Moore.
I think also they got another
Oh,
pick.
second round. Yeah. So they also got a second round this year.
So think about it. If you look at it, DJ Moore is like a number one receiver, a 1A. So the going rate, he would have probably been to trade for him a first round pick. So if you look at it, you got 3 firsts, 2 seconds for the number one pick, which is pretty good. I I understand why they did it early because now they could set their free agency. They know they're not going to need, so now they know what they need to get. At 9, they'll probably get an offensive tackle, probably. So, they went out and got a bunch of middle linebackers. I mean,
Yeah.
to take over for Roquan Smith instead of
Well,
paying him.
what's funny is like I saw them talking about how it was a good move Roquan because now you got these two linebackers in free agency for the same price as you would have paid Roquan Smith. And so you got two for the price of one. I'm like, I don't care. Those two aren't as good as Roquan. So you can give me both of those. I'd still rather have Roquan.
Yeah. And they're both upside guys. They haven't really shown that they're close to the level of Roquan Smith.
Right, right.
But, the Bears are trying to get young. Obviously, Poles knew that he messed up with Claypool, so he got DJ Moore. So at least you got DJ Moore and Mooney, and Claypool's a 3 now, so
Right.
that helps out.
Yeah.
I
I
don't
mean,
like.
Claypool's not terrible. I mean, he's a big
No,
guy, which is
he's not. He
helpful.
wasn't worth a second round pick. That's
No,
what.
yeah. That's the problem I had with it. And you only get him for
Um,
1 year.
yeah, and the only thing I think it was is, but who knows now with Jalen Carter. But I didn't want them to move out of like the top 5 to get
Yeah.
one of those top defensive players.
Yeah, I really wanted Anderson or Carter for sure. Well, I mean, Ken Carter could slip, but yeah, that's a little disappointing to me. So I didn't want to go out in top five, but they obviously did. Wes, what do you think?
Um, well, I mean, of course, Bears want you know, they need a lot of picks on defense. So they're going to trade down and they trade to 9. Maybe they get Jalen Carter. Maybe not. But, you know, just like the Raiders defense, they need a lot on the back end. You know, they need a lot of, I mean, to have a good defense, you need backups for backups. That's all there's to it. It's like, you know, it would be nice for either the Raiders or the Bears to get Jalen Carter, but if you don't, it doesn't really matter. You know, you're going to get a lot of good picks. I think the Bears should draft defense. The trade for the first pick, of course, that makes sense because they don't need a quarterback. Everybody wants a quarterback. You know, the Bears really didn't have a choice. You know, are you going to sit there, the number 1 pick? I mean, Jalen Carter's gone. I mean, Jalen Carter effed up. That's all there's to it. Are you going to take a Will Anderson? No, he's not worth the number 1 pick. You know, everybody, you got so many teams out. You have 4 quarterbacks if you take in the top 7 picks. The Bears had to trade down. Unless they wanted a quarterback.
What about the trade back to trade back? You know, like you trade back to 4, and then you either stay there at 4 or 5 or whatever, and then if nobody offers good enough, at least you get Will Anderson or Carter. But if not, now you go back to 9 again.
Well, the thing about that is, the thing about this is, I think there's a new NFL now. The new NFL is this. You know, you sacrifice the top 10. Like, there isn't one player anymore that's worth a top 10 pick. You want a bulk of good players. Of course, Jalen Carter is an amazing talent. Of course, Will Anderson's great. But there is something in the NFL called injuries. And the best bet is if you look at the Patriots, how many great players did the Patriots actually have? It was just a systematic way of backups for backups, good players that knew their roles. And I think some teams, like with the Eagles, you know, look what they did with Jalen Hurts. It's kind of the new model in NFL. It's great to have a nice superstar, but you don't actually need it if you know what you're doing.
Well, didn't the Eagles have tons of superstars on their team?
Yeah. The Eagles are stacked. That's for sure.
So who's their superstar?
Well, didn't Hassan Reddick lead the league in sacks?
They're
I mean, AJ Brown is a top. Huh?
He's a superstar? How many Pro Bowls has he been to? He's a great player. He's a great pick. But that was a good draft pick. What has he's ever done in the NFL in the last 5 years?
The Patriot or the Eagles level of players across all their positions was very high. Now, yeah, you don't call them all superstars, but yeah, you're talking about almost every position they had good players. Really,
they're not
better than average.
Those are good players. We're talking about superstars.
Okay, Darius Slay, 5 Pro Bowls and All Pro. I mean,
yeah, that's Slay.
Fletcher Cox, how many Pro Bowls and All Pros does he have? I mean, AJ Brown.
Yeah,
there's a big difference between I think Eagles and the Patriots for sure. When I look at those teams, like I think the Eagles had a lot more talent than like the Patriots teams did, as far as top to bottom. When you look at like all the positions across the board.
How many Super Bowls did the fucking Patriots win? How many Super Bowls did Eagles win?
Here's the difference, Wes.
The difference is called coaching.
Yeah, they had Tom Brady. So if and this is what you're saying then. The Raiders are going to win Super Bowls because Josh McDaniels is doing the same thing.
I'm not talking about. I'm talking about.
Yeah, but that's what he's doing, right?
Get a bunch talking of about players. One person. Talking about one person that went and was a coach for the Broncos and sucked. And I think everybody should learn from the mistake when he went. It's organizational management.
I think it is.
And that's what the Patriots had. And
They
that's
had
what
what
the
was
Eagles
called
have
Tom Brady.
developed too. But we're not talking about superstars here. You tell me one superstar on the Eagles. One
I already
superstar.
did. What is
Fletcher
your
Cox?
Yeah, I mean,
definition of a
define it.
superstar?
Yeah. What's a superstar?
Devontae Adams?
Well, I mean, AJ Brown had just as good numbers as
No, I'm
Devontae
not talking
Adams.
about. No, A.J. Brown's not a superstar.
Their numbers are the
Adams,
same.
dude.
Their numbers were
Darius
exactly the
Slay.
same.
He's one of the top 5 corners in the league.
And he's still with the Eagles?
Yes. He
Gotta get
re-signed.
traded. Oh, you re-signed?
Yeah, they re-signed him.
I mean,
Okay.
so there is a I mean, I understand, what you're saying, because there is a valid system to maybe not paying or going after the highest, the most expensive guys and putting superstars, or really like not even superstars, Pro Bowlers. We'll call them Pro Bowlers in place, right?
Fletcher
But
Cox. I would say he's a superstar. 6 Pro Bowls, 3 second team All Pros, one first team All Pro, and he's a Super Bowl champion.
yeah, but they have plenty of good players. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is can you put together a lot of these good players and get to Super Bowls and win, right? I mean, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs for a second. Kansas City wins the Super Bowl this year with not a lot of great players. Like, you got Kelsey and Mahomes on offense.
No.
And so they go and they have 2 superstars and they win the Super Bowl. So it goes both ways. Patriots could do it, with mediocre, but they also have the GOAT, so that's helpful. It's like Michael Jordan. It's the same. He wins 6 championships. You got Michael.
Well, Patriots also had Gronkowski, arguably the greatest tight end ever, or second now. I mean,
right.
That's a superstar.
Yeah, but not a lot of them though. Yeah, but they had a couple superstars, right?
Richard
From time to
Seymour
time.
is a Hall of Famer. Chandler Jones, before he went, I mean, he is a.
I don't know that. I mean, I know what the Bears are trying to do. Like, we get that. Like, they have to build up their team because they're weak at so many positions. So, yeah, that's why they're going after picks and things like that. But you never know what a guy like Will Anderson or Jalen Carter can do for your team. Look what Aaron Donald did for the Rams. Not saying Jalen Carter is Aaron Donald, but he could be. Will Anderson could be what's his name from the Cowboys,
Micah Parsons.
Micah Parsons, right? So you could get a game changer out of those. Instead, they're going to go back and they're going to get a tackle. That's probably what they're going to draft at 9. And
or a corner.
Tackle's not going to win. Yeah, tackle's not going to win Super Bowls for you, right? So there's good and bads to it. I love the fact that they got DJ Moore, because I do like DJ Moore a lot. Like, I think he was underused and underrated in Carolina. If they use him properly in Chicago, then he could be definitely a Pro Bowler and make an impact. So all in all, I don't think it's a bad trade. Like I said, I wanted to hear your guys' thoughts on it. I mean, I'm still not calling Poles this GM wizard at this point, like everybody else, because I don't think you have the number 1 pick, right? It's not that hard. It's not like you're coming out and. Oh, did you guys freeze? Or did I freeze?
Will I get him back?
Oh, there we go. I froze. I was like, what? Who froze? Anyway, what I was saying is I just don't think you could put Poles as this GM master at this point. You had the number 1 pick. Like, it's not that hard with the number 1 pick, right? When a lot of people want quarterback. So
right, when you already got your quarterback, yeah.
Right. You're not a wizard at this point, right? Like, all you did was trade the number 1 pick. But free agency is a whole nother thing. So let's get to the Raiders here. Jimmy G. So Jimmy G is a Raider. So you get rid of Derek Carr and you sign Jimmy G. You guys, I know the initial thought was you're upset. Have you changed your minds a little bit? Are you feeling okay about it? Like, how are we feeling about Jimmy G?
He doesn't cost that much, but then they didn't do anything with the extra money. That's the irritating thing. It's like, let's just sign a bunch of former Patriots players. That's all they've done. They haven't signed one quality start. They had the third most cap space
Right.
in the NFL. Bears make a splash. They signed 2 up-and-coming linebackers. The Raiders, they signed Jimmy G on a contract that makes him, not really the guy. He's the guy for maybe a year, but they're gonna get they're gonna draft a quarterback. Maybe it's not the first round, maybe it's like Hendon Hooker, something like that. So Jimmy G's not the guy going forward. 1 year maybe. And then they sign Marcus Epps, who's a role-playing free safety off the Eagles. And that's it. That's it. Like Wes said, they need so much help that was the whole thing. It's like, okay, we're getting rid of Derek Carr because we're going to save his cap money and finally get a defense. Nope. We signed a backup linebacker from the Steelers, a pseudo backup starting safety from the Eagles, and that's it. That's the only defensive players that they've added.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
and they traded Waller.
You trade Waller away. You haven't signed anybody in free agency. I mean, what does this look like for the Raiders next year?
It's called a rebuild.
Lots of this.
Well, it's called a rebuild, but the problem is, I'm sure Josh Jacobs is not very happy about it.
Oh no, he's not.
And Devontae Adams is trying to be nice about it, saying, "Hey, stop trashing Garoppolo," which I think it's a little too early to trash Garoppolo because honestly, anybody can fucking throw Devontae Adams and be a Pro Bowler. Because that's how good Devontae Adams is. The problem is he's not getting any younger. You don't have a lot of time. Yeah. And if they're going to sit there at the 7th pick, kind of my thought process why I didn't destroy anything in my house because how stupid they are, is because I think they could sit 7 and they could still get Richardson.
Or, I mean, Levis or
here's the thing. Either or, it doesn't really matter, but they don't have to give up anything to get them. And if they fall to them, fantastic. If not, there's always next year's draft.
Right.
They say though, I don't think the Raiders are going to be bad enough for next year's draft.
Really?
Well, Wes said,
I mean, dude,
you have Devontae Adams, you still have Josh Jacobs.
I know.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, Garoppolo is
You're going to win at least 4 games.
Garoppolo's a good quarterback. You're right. Like, what are we doing? It's almost like having Carr.
But
it is.
It's the same thing.
He's better than, Sam Darnold or Desmond Ritter or
dude, Garoppolo. You never know. Garoppolo might ball next year because he has Devontae Adams. It's Devontae Adams.
He doesn't have Waller anymore.
Patriots system. He knows it so
I'm in
well.
trouble. I'll just throw it to the best wide receiver in the NFL.
I imagine Devontae Adams is going to get a lot of double coverage.
They got Jacoby Myers now.
Right. Oh, yeah. Jacoby Myers.
And that made Darren Waller expendable, is what they said.
Yeah. Another receiver.
Worst play in NFL history. I forgot about and then I watched on Twitter and watched all the Raider guys are like, this is a guy. Of course he plays for the Raiders because he threw the ball for the Raiders.
Doesn't this, though, spell trouble if one, you have Jimmy G only guaranteed for a year, right?
Well, he's set for 3 years, but they can get out of his contract.
Right. So
technically, it's 2 years, and then they could cut him for like pennies dead
Yeah.
cap.
So what you're saying though, if they don't take quarterback this year and then they finish, whatever 6-11 or 7-10, right?
Yeah.
They're getting a mid pick, so they're not going to get Caleb or if Drake May comes out or anybody like that, right? So now you're looking at going into year 3 with Jimmy G, and you're still not making the playoffs, and you don't have a backup.
You guys are 100% right. So if you're playing for the draft next, or let's say
you have to go quarterback this year. You have to go quarterback.
If you're sitting at 7 and Richardson falls to you, great. But it's probably not going to happen.
They didn't bring in Garoppolo to lose.
Now you're a mid-level team, and you're not going to get it. Yeah.
They didn't bring in Garoppolo to lose, right? So they're definitely not tanking next year. So they're not going to get a top 5 pick.
Well, yeah, because Josh McDaniels is going to get fired if they.
Yeah, right. He'll get fired. But first of all, Josh Jacobs is a solid running back. He's gonna have a good year. They're gonna win games. They're gonna have. And Jimmy G's a very good game manager. He's going to hit his check downs. He's going to, Devontae Adams is going to get his 1,200, 1,300 yards. They're going to win games. But that, like I'm saying, that puts you in a 3-year position where 2-3 years later, you don't have a quarterback anymore.
Right. Well, I feel like they're going to move up to 3 with the Cardinals. And that the Waller pick is going to go, and then, more of a package because they have to. Because unless they go Hendon Hooker in like the 3rd round.
No fucking way.
He's 25 though.
Yeah, he's old, but he's good. He's solid.
He's all right. That he was good at Tennessee.
Right.
You might as well wait till next year.
Here was my thing. You know who they should take because talking like Tom Brady, they want to find the next one. Good old 6th or 7th round, pick up Stetson Bennett.
Yeah,
that's a given because you can get him like in the 5th or 6th round.
Right.
And so there are people debating about Baltimore getting him and say, you know what, we'll we don't need Lamar Jackson. We'll get Stetson Bennett. Yeah. And I'm like, I get it. He can kind of ball, but you're taking a big ass risk.
But he's an older quarterback too.
He's 26.
Yeah.
I mean, the big
Isn't
thing
he? He's older than Lamar Jackson.
Right.
Ideally, the person, and Wes said it, but I don't think he's going to be there at 7. Ideally, Richardson is the pick.
Right.
Because he can sit behind Garoppolo.
He just had too good of a combine, though.
And then he can sprinkle him in like packages. Yeah, that's why they have to go to 3.
Yeah, you could.
But
yeah, you could.
Here's the issue that not an issue, but I don't think that they would hesitate to take Levis at 7.
Oh, don't.
Whoa, what? But here's the thing: it's either or.
Right?
Because I think a lot more teams are willing. They want Richardson. They don't want Levis. Levis is the most likely person to drop
to be available. Right? Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah. I think if you get a quarterback at 7, you're getting Levis. Because Richardson had too good of a combine. He's going to go top 4.
Well, the Seahawks will take him because they can.
If he's there, they'll probably take him. They probably wouldn't take Levis, though.
Take him.
The Seahawks wouldn't take Levis, I don't think. But if Richardson was there, I think they would take him.
No.
But I don't think he'll be there. I think your top 3 is going to be Stroud, Young, and Richardson in the top 4.
Are you saying Arizona's going to take Richardson?
No. Arizona's going to take Anderson. Or trade out. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But if they don't, I think Arizona should take Anderson personally. I think they should stay where they're at. And I think they could use Anderson. But what you're talking about is Carolina, Texans, and the Colts all need quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah.
Have Stroud, Young, and Richardson, right?
Although I think the Colts,
I think the Colts would be more likely to take Levis.
Yeah, because he's more ready, and they're going to want to start him right away. They have no backup plan.
Yeah,
whoever they take is going to be a rookie starter.
What if Richardson goes 1 or 2?
Well, that's a possibility.
Then
Now-
you got to
now
trade
Did
up
you
to
guys
3.
watch the combine? Did you see that crap at the combine? You see Richardson throw the football?
Yeah, dude.
Like
He-
70 yards. Just like that.
Him,
It was
you
like
see him
nothing.
you see him and Stroud going back and forth, dude. They were
Yeah.
both throwing 60, 70-yard dots.
because I think that's the reason why Carolina went to 1. Like everyone's like, well, who's they gonna take? I was like, I think they're gonna take Stroud.
Maybe they take Richardson at 1.
Hey, that's what I said.
Well,
And remember, how many 2 years ago, who was it that goes, you need to check this guy out?
right.
I was telling you guys, check out Anthony Richardson.
Well, Carolina, you think about Cam Newton, right? This is a similar Cam Newton.
Oh, man.
And so that's
But
why I
think
wouldn't
he's a
put it
better
past Carolina.
passer.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you'll have to see him in the NFL to make that conclusion. But either way, I think he's a very similar prospect. And Carolina could be like, oh, we got another Cam Newton on our hands. So that's why I think Levis personally is the only one that'll be available at 7, because I can't see those 3 guys, Young, Stroud, and Richardson, not going the first 3 quarterbacks. It's just too hard to imagine that. Maybe if even if you're Indianapolis, do you really pass on Richardson?
Well, it doesn't matter. Richardson's not going past 5.
Right. Because Seattle will probably take him if he's there.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's why I think the Raiders can get a pass here to a certain extent. It's like you do have a choice. It's hard because Levis, of course, he's gifted too, but you don't really have anything on Levis. We don't know who Levis is. We have Mel Kiper. Mel Kiper is like, oh yes, he's like the next Tom Brady. He's like, he doesn't know. Nobody knows who Levis is.
I watched a few of his games. I wasn't that impressed.
Yeah, he's all right.
Yeah.
He's a big dude. I mean, looks like a bodybuilder. That's
He's got the physical attributes to be a good quarterback.
But
That's
that
for sure.
Mean anything.
Yeah.
I mean, you got Bryce Young. I mean, honestly, if anybody's more proven, it's Bryce Young.
Right.
And everyone's looking, oh, he's too small. It's like, of course he is. So was Drew Brees. And how did Drew Brees do? But you have to set up everything for him. Can the Carolina Panthers set it up perfect for him? Frank Wright's the coach. Frank Wright could do all this stuff with everybody else, and he didn't.
I think Bryce Young's going to the Texans. I think Carolina takes Stroud or Richardson.
Yeah, I do too.
And I think Texans take Young.
I think Carolina's taking Stroud.
Yeah, I mean, the safe pick is Stroud, right? For Carolina.
Stroud has got a cannon for an arm.
But Young, I think, is good for the Texans because he can come in, he'll play right away. Texans are not as bad as their record. They have a good, strong rookie running back. They got a lot of picks. I think Young's good for them. So
I think
it's interesting.
I think their problem is they just need to go back to the Oilers.
Right. So past the draft for a second, any free agent moves, any teams in free agency that, making good moves, any surprises in free agency up to this point? I thought the Waller trade was a surprise, obviously, to me. I don't know why you would trade Waller. But Denver really going after offensive line.
Way overpaying for him too.
Yeah, they're over. But everybody said Jacksonville overpaid last year, and Jacksonville, that worked out for them. Because Denver, they need to run the ball better, and they need to protect Wilson, and so they paid for it.
Yeah.
So here's one. So the Bengals lose both safeties,
and Hayden Hurst.
Yeah, Hayden Hurst. But they just totally redeemed themselves. You know who they just picked up?
No, I didn't see.
Orlando Brown.
They signed Orlando Brown?
Yeah.
I mean, and that's what they needed. Because, I like Bates, but he's not, I'm not paying him what Atlanta did. That's for sure.
Yeah.
The other one that went to Carolina, Von Bell, his
Von Bell,
contract
yeah.
was a little bit better, but
Right. Um, so yeah, that's gonna be tough for Cincinnati to fulfill that secondary, but getting Orlando Brown, that's crazy, man. Because you got to protect Burrow, right?
yeah.
So that's a big pickup for them. Wow,
Um,
man, I thought I want him to go to the Bears, but I know the Bears going to draft the tackle, so that's probably why they didn't
right.
push too hard
Plus,
for
they
him.
don't want to spend that much money when they aren't.
Right,
He doesn't want it. He wouldn't want it. He wants to go to a contender.
right.
It's like, oh,
And
I was
it's
on the Chiefs. Now we're going to go to the Bears.
right. He probably got a huge contract too.
Yeah, it was 4 years, 64. Or let me look here.
Yeah,
It wasn't that big compared to
yeah, that's not huge.
4 years, 64. So yeah. So I think let me look at his replacement. Yeah, Jawan Taylor, who's not as good as Orlando Brown. He's just
they
younger.
they signed him for a bunch of money. That was
4
crazy.
years, 80 million.
Why would you? Yeah, I didn't understand the Juwan Taylor sign. That was a lot. Um, but a lot of guys moved around. There's just a lot of people moving around teams. Yeah,
I liked what the Giants did. They got Waller in the trade. They got Bobby Okereke,
right.
linebacker. He's good from the Colts.
Yeah, I wanted him to
So
go to the Bears.
the Jets are signing all of Aaron Rodgers' wish list.
I don't understand that. Aaron Rodgers, like, why do you want the weapons that Green Bay gave you that you said weren't adequate weapons?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, he just wanted.
you guys think Aaron Rodgers definitely go to the Jets then?
Yep.
Well, it's now up because he went on Pat McAfee because he
Right.
had to tell him there. It's not. He made his decision a while ago. He says it's the two teams trying to get compensation.
Well, it's up to the Packers, and I think that's kind of the reason why he got on there, and because everyone's like wondering, like, are you that much of a psychopath? You're going to sit there and hold teams hostages? He's like, no. He's like, it's the Packers. They want compensation for me, but they started talking about Brett Favre and that compensation, and they got rid of Brett Favre for a fourth round pick. So equally, that's what the Packers need to do just to end this whole thing, because he does not want to play for the Packers. The Packers don't want him. He's not going back to the Packers, or he retires. So they have a decision to make. You could take a second to a fourth round pick for him. I still think, if you hate Zach Wilson so much, just give him the Packers.
Ship him,
but they don't want to do that because it looks bad. The Jets would actually like to keep him and have him study under Rodgers. Which makes sense.
Well, they got rid of Mike.
Rodgers only has played 2 or 3 years. That's all there's to it.
Well, the problem is the Jets are so desperate.
Yeah.
Because so if the Jets don't get Rodgers, right?
They're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got rid of Mike White. I don't understand that.
So that's where, and I get where everyone's saying, well, yeah, the Packers need to do this trade just because of the No, the Packers would be like, no, man, we saw you sign Alan Lazard. We saw what you're doing. You need to give us a first and a second.
That's the question: is what are they going to give up? Like, what are the Jets going to give up to get this? And if it's a first and second, I think the Packers make out real well.
Or at least like a first and then a conditional pick if Rodgers doesn't retire after 1 year. You know what I mean?
I would, if I was the Jets,
but they're going to hold their feet to the fire.
Buys the Jets, I would say here's a second this year and a first next year.
Yeah.
That's what I would go
Wow.
for. Because you don't want
Everyone's
to give up.
forgetting, the Packers didn't make the playoffs, and Aaron Rodgers didn't look like the old Aaron Rodgers.
Right, right. But then the question always comes up is, did he want to bleed? Was he playing as hard as he could? Did he want to be there? I mean, you remember the first half of the year when like his receivers weren't running the routes right, they were dropping balls. Like you got to think that at that point he was like, dude, I just want to quit right now.
Well, the
So
problem is his foot's been halfway out the door for the last 3 years.
right,
He's been holding the Packers
and,
hostage.
and the only reason they're in that situation, the only reason Devontae Adams left is because he left him hanging. He's like, I don't know if he's going to be here or not, so I might as well go play with Derek Carr because I know I'm going to go. I don't know if he, Rodgers put this on himself to a certain extent. He's like, because Adams like, all right, I guess to go to the Raiders. I don't know. Every year it's the same thing over and over, and the Packers are sick of it. But the question is, how much are they sick of it? Like,
you got to feel bad for Devontae Adams.
Here's a funny story, though. Think about it. The Packers have done it to themselves. This is the second time they've done this.
Right.
I mean, Brett Favre wanted to continue playing. They drafted Aaron Rodgers to push Brett Favre out. And now it's like the same thing. They drafted Jordan Love. So before, Brett Favre was getting all pissed off. Now Aaron Rodgers is getting all pissed off because Jordan Love's there.
Well, if the thing is this, all Aaron Rodgers had to do is go to practice first day of practice and look at Jordan Love. It's like, this guy's gonna fucking replace him.
This guy's trash.
He's not good. Jordan Love is not good. He will not replace. He is not Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
he is not the answer. I guarantee it. They've already known this.
Well, he won't be.
An excuse.
He won't be a starting quarterback there.
If you think about it, when Brett Favre was there with Aaron Rodgers, they were like, "Okay, peace out, Brett. You can go."
Right.
Dude,
with Aaron Rodgers, they're like, "We'll put up with all
Jordan Love ain't gonna come in and ball and win a Super Bowl in his third year. He's not that type of player." And that's
I agree.
I think both sides should concede, like, hey, sorry, Aaron. We're hedging our bets. This guy's not very good. And Aaron Rodgers to say, I know he's not very good because I watch him in practice. He's not very good. So what are we fighting about here? What's the fight about?
Here's the thing. Okay, they went that way. What did the Patriots do with Tom Brady and Garoppolo? Brady's like, get this guy out of here.
Right.
Wait a minute. So where's Garoppolo?
I know, but that's what happened, right? Because
I mean,
the Patriots drafted Garoppolo to be Brady's replacement, and he's like, no, man, I'm staying forever. Trade this guy now.
Right.
Where the Packers should have been like, oh, shoot, let's trade Jordan Love.
Get him out of here.
They should have. They should have, because he's not very good.
And then you wouldn't have had this drama, because I don't think Aaron Rodgers would have just like, because he knew, because then he got mad at them. So then he jacked up his price, right? Because he knew that Jordan Love was going to take over.
But the stupid part is this, and I think this is what Aaron Rodgers doesn't understand. It's like Christian Watson balled last year. I mean, honestly, he did have weapons. Now Lazard's gone. It doesn't matter. You might as well go to the Jets.
Yeah, they got Garrett Wilson.
Actually had some weapons.
Yeah.
And if he would have stuck it out, being in the NFC is a lot better. It's a lot easier path than going to the freaking Jets. Oh, I'm going to play against Buffalo two times. And I'm going to play against the Dolphins. And I'll guarantee you this. The Patriots are not very good, but I guarantee you Belichick is like this. Hey, I've never really played. Everyone talks crap about Aaron Rodgers and me. Like, let me have a piece of Aaron Rodgers. I mean, it is not going to be an easy task to win that division.
I don't think they win the division. I think Buffalo wins the division.
They should.
Even with Aaron
Buffalo
Rodgers.
should win the division.
And then obviously Miami, is going to they'll be good. So
Depending on
it's going to
Tua.
be tough, right? Throw in Mike White.
What? What are we
Miami's got
talking about?
they signed Mike
Mike
White,
White
dude.
did.
I like
What
Mike
about
White.
Tom Brady?
I like Mike White.
Tom Brady's in Miami, man. What's going
He's
on
gonna
down there?
unretire. He's gonna unretire again.
That's why
Okay,
I keep
so
seeing this stuff.
let's get into some March Madness. We'll have more NFL obviously closer to the draft, but we got to talk some March Madness here. So let's what you guys want to do first round upsets first, or you want to do your picks?
Let's do first round upsets, then end on our
Okay.
picks.
All right, let's talk about some potential upsets here. So I don't have a lot of first round upsets, to be honest with you. I mean, even my upsets, well, I guess there's a couple. I had a couple that are, close, could go either way. So give us your biggest upset, Derek. What's your biggest upset?
So I have, I think, is that the biggest one?
Or what you think's your biggest?
Louisiana
Oh,
beating Tennessee.
all
All right, Louisiana beat Tennessee. So that's a 4 and a 13.
because I
The
think
Raging
Tennessee
Cajuns.
chokes every year.
Okay.
Good one.
That's tough. That's tough. I think Tennessee played against a lot of tough teams this year.
They did, but they also, a lot of it was they've not been as good lately. They were really good at the beginning of the year, and they've kind of taken a nosedive. They were 23-10. They lost to
All right.
Kentucky twice. They lost to Texas A&M.
I mean, those are good, solid teams, right?
Yeah,
Probably Alabama, right?
it says they beat Alabama, but that was
Oh.
early. They lost to Arizona, but I mean, Arizona's good.
So that's a stretch. I mean, that's a tough one. That's going after it. Louisiana beating Tennessee. All right, Wes, what's your biggest upset in the first round?
He's got to figure out which bracket he's going to look at.
You got to go with the HSC.
I'll go with the HSC podcast.
You got to go with the HSC bracket.
This is pretty hardcore. I'm saying Colgate beats Texas.
Wow, Colgate.
Colgate is solid, but
Colgate is solid.
Oh yeah, they're good. Just for like they're just under the radar. They can play.
All right.
But the problem is Texas is on, and that's a stretch.
Look, I've been watching college basketball for a long time, and there's never a time in my life that I ever say Colgate is solid.
Hey, they have all 5 starters are in double figures, and they are the number 1 3-point shooting team in the nation.
All right. I mean, I'm not saying it couldn't happen.
But it's Texas. Texas just crushed Kansas.
Right? So now you're going to have Colgate beating them?
That was a tough one.
All right.
But Texas is one of the worst 3-point shooting teams.
Miami. Drake is going to beat Miami. That's my other one. Drake's going to beat Miami.
So, I don't know. I guess this is my biggest. It's not a huge upset as far as seeds, but as far as like, just thinking about this team going out in the first round is I have Providence beating Kentucky.
Yeah, I do too.
And so for me, well, because I mean Kentucky, you think about one of those teams that's going to go deep, right? Historically, and so even though it's only a 6-11, I think a lot of people take Kentucky to win games just because they're Kentucky.
Yeah.
So I have Providence being Kentucky as one of my big ones.
Kentucky got off to a bad start, but then they picked it up, and you can see their talent. And they can make a deep run. I think they have something to prove, but Providence can beat them.
Yeah, I think it'll be. I mean, hopefully it's a good game and Providence wins, because then otherwise, I'm wrong. But um, I just see it as like a game that either team could win in my eyes. Uh, so I took Providence there as a big upset for me. Another one, the other one I took, and again, this one's a little bit further away because this is a 5 and a 12. So I have Charleston beating San Diego State,
Yeah, I do too.
and so those are two that I stick out for me. Derek, what
Oh,
else you got?
What? Go ahead, Wes.
What do you got, Wes?
Furman over Virginia. Furman's one of the hottest teams in the nation. They've won like the last 11 straight. So Furman over Virginia.
So Wes, how many teams do you have going past the first round?
What are you talking about?
How many teams that are seeded in the teens do you have going past the first round? That's
All
my
right.
question.
1, 2. No, this 10's not a team.
10? It's
It is?
anything with two numbers.
We're talking about double digit. Okay.
Double digits.
1, 2, 3. I got Providence. 3. I got 6.
6. Okay. That's not too bad. That's not too bad.
One.
Because I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I got 5.
No.
But I have some of the closer ones. Like I got Boise State beating Northwestern
I did too. Yeah, I got
as a
that.
7 and a 10.
Yeah.
And I have USC beat Michigan State as a 7 and a 10.
I do too.
I think that'll be a really good game.
One team, I know he's not the head coach anymore, but one team we haven't talked about as a 12 seed that likes to make stunning runs in the tournament. VCU.
VCU, yeah.
Well, yeah, but
that was a
who's the-
tough one.
yeah, it is a tough one. I
But
didn't know
they have so much tournament experience. It's hard not to go with them, right?
No, no. It's tournament pedigree. That's
Right.
why it was very hard for me to pick Alabama. Because of course Alabama, top to bottom, is a great team. The problem is they don't have the tournament pedigree like Duke has.
Yeah.
Or even UConn. Like you get in the Final Four against those teams, great.
So
Alabama's good.
the reason I didn't take VCU is I think St. Mary's is a little bit perturbed about the way the conference tournament went, and I think they're going to come out with a chip on their shoulder, saying, we lost to Gonzaga. We didn't play well.
Yeah.
We're better than that. We're better than this, and I think
All
that.
right.
So that's why I didn't pick VCU over them in that particular. That was close though. That was probably one of the hardest picks for me was the St. Mary's VCU game.
It is that is a tough pick. Like out of 25 brackets, I probably picked 12.
Derek, did you pick VCU?
Yeah.
So you have VCU winning that game. Okay. Any other big upsets in the first round people should be looking out for here?
Well, we talked about this earlier off air, but none of us have the guts to do it.
Right.
But Oral Roberts is primed for an upset on Duke.
Right.
Oral Roberts is good. You know what?
It's so hard to pick them. It's so hard to pick them over Duke, though.
Oh yeah. The way Duke's playing, the way Duke's playing, I mean, it's like the same thing as Texas. It was like, why am I picking?
Right. The problem with that, I always run into the same issue when I'm picking these games, and it shouldn't affect as much as it does, but I always look at too heavily who they play throughout the year. And when you look at a Duke, like they're playing so many tough teams all the time. And Oral Roberts just isn't. They're not playing that
No,
caliber of team.
But you
So
must look out for Connor Vanover. You know who that is?
he's the
He's
next
7'5".
oh really?
He's 7'5".
Wow.
Oral Roberts is averaging 84 points a game in
Yeah.
college.
Yeah.
pretty
And
hardcore.
the thing about Oral Roberts is though they always have very athletic teams. You know, they have a lot of athletes on their team. And so they can press you, you know, they can play a up speed game historically. You know, I haven't watched them much this year, but historically they could press and they're athletic and they play fast if they want.
Yeah.
Who
But
knows?
other than
At the
that,
end of
let's
the
see.
night, I might be changing my pick. I might take Oral Roberts. I don't know.
Hey, you know what? You could do probably 12 more picks. Dude.
Right, you got time, right? It's not
I'm not allowed. They cut me
nothing's
off.
set in stone yet. Well, you can still change your bracket though.
I know. I got Duke going to the Elite Eight, so that might be messed me up pretty bad.
Yeah, that'll mess you up pretty bad.
No, I got one of the brackets. I have Oral Roberts making it to the final and losing.
Jeez.
I
So you know it's
get it all.
interesting.
I get every scenario. If I don't win, then yeah, I'm the biggest loser. Dude.
So did you
I
guys
gotta
see
win
the
something.
did you see the autofill brackets?
I've done them all.
Well, no, you can autofill brackets, and so I fill out a bracket that they do a coin flip on each game,
Yeah.
That's cool.
and I want to compare it. Like if I lose to the coin flip, then
Did
that's
you
bad.
did you do the chalk? The
No,
chalk's the worst one because all
oh,
it does is seed the higher seed.
oh yeah. I saw
So I
that
did
one.
the
I was like,
chalk. I'm like, this is bullshit. I was like,
it's
there's no
all
way.
number one seats.
So I went all the way back to 64 and I started modifying it and then I sit it out.
Yeah.
So I got 2 chalks on here too out of 25.
Well, I got to tell you, my bracket's pretty close to a chalk. I have a
Who's the
few.
winner?
I have some games. So let's get into. Let's talk about your final four. You know, who do you how do you think it's going to play out and your champion? Okay. So I'll go first. And so I have in my final four, I've got uh, 3 number 1 seeds and a number 2 seed. So I got Arizona and Purdue on one side, and I got Houston and Kansas on the other side. And the Arizona Purdue game, I think that'll be a good game. I think Arizona is playing well. I think they don't have a particularly hard road to the Final Four. Purdue, I think, is playing really solid. I think Purdue wins that game, goes to the national championship game, and they'll play the winner of Houston, Kansas, and that I think will be Houston. And overall, I've got Houston winning the national championship. So that's my final
Houston,
four.
break your heart again, huh?
Yep. What do you got, Derek?
I have 2 1s, a 2 and a 4. I've got Alabama and Marquette, and Houston and UConn, with Alabama beating UConn in the finals.
Alabama winning, huh?
Yeah.
All right. So wait, what's your final four again?
Final 4 is Alabama, Marquette, Houston, and UConn.
Alabama, Marquette, Houston, UConn, and Alabama beating
UConn.
UConn. Wow. Okay. All right. Let's see. Wes, what do you got for your final four?
So for the HSC bracket, I got Alabama beating Marquette. I got Kansas beating Indiana. And I got Alabama beating Kansas.
You both have Alabama winning it, huh?
Trust me. You know,
Wow.
like it's brutal. No, trust me. I wanted to take Dukes or Marquette. Either one so bad. But
So, okay, give your final four again, Wes. What's your final four?
Alabama, Marquette, Indiana, Kansas.
With Alabama beating
Kansas.
Kansas. All right. So those are our HSC Final Four picks. Who's going to win the Final Four? Who's going to be your national champions? So I'm going to put out a video just for that, so people could see that, and we'll cut that separately. So let's talk about that just for a second. Now that we've got that out of the way. So neither of you guys had Purdue going. So why don't you guys think Purdue is a Final Four team?
Guard play. Edie's a beast. There's no doubt about that. It just comes down to guard play. I mean, there's been plenty of teams in the last 20, 30 years that had a great center, and they just don't, like Tim Duncan. Tim Duncan, you need really good guard play. And I would have taken Houston if Sasser wasn't hurt. But Sasser,
where do you have Purdue losing? So are they losing to Marquette?
They are losing to
Duke.
Or Duke, huh?
Yeah, they're losing to Duke.
So yeah, Duke. You guys both have Duke beating Purdue in the Elite Eight. Oh no, in the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
Okay. And then let's see. So Marquette, I think Marquette has a pretty easy road, to be honest with you.
Marquette, that was a tough one. I get them in two of my brackets, but they have great guard play. They're just not very big, but as long as they stay out of foul trouble, I mean, they're the most dangerous team because of
their bracket is not,
and it's not that hard. But
right,
I mean, honestly, the safe bet is Marquette because Alabama has no pedigree for anything. Like, if you look at, they did all the people that pick them. Like, there's been 9 million brackets put out. Alabama leads as the winner. But what people don't understand is they've never won anything. They've never even been close to winning anything.
I have Alabama losing to Arizona in the Elite Eight.
But Alabama's got the best player in the country.
Yeah, and that's they got two of the top 5, don't they?
Yeah.
Like draft picks. They're going to go.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, so I mean, Alabama's obviously you both got them winning. So how about Houston? I don't think Houston particularly has a tough road at all.
It just depends if Sasser's healthy. He got hurt.
Well, I think
if Sasser's not well, then they're kind of screwed.
They rested him for he could have played.
He'll be back
in the championship game.
Right.
But they already knew they were a 1 seed, so they rested him. Yeah. And they still almost came back and won it.
Because you think about it, they'll have Xavier, in my opinion, they have Xavier Texas, and I actually have Xavier beating Texas. And then them beating Xavier. But to me, in that Elite Eight game, it's going to be Xavier Texas, right? And a healthy Houston, I think, beats either of those teams.
Yeah. Well, I got Houston Final Four.
I mean,
what was your? Who did you have there, Wes? Did you have Texas or
what?
You had Texas against Kansas?
No. I had Indiana versus Kansas.
Oh, Indiana. Yeah. So I did have Indiana going to the Sweet 16.
The only reason is Indiana does have some things going on right now. I just don't think they have enough to win the championship. I just think they have enough to get the Final Four.
So you have Indiana and Kansas. All right.
Yeah.
Kansas, again, not a hard road, right?
No,
when I look at those teams over there, I just don't see any team in that bracket that could beat, or at least up to the Elite Eight.
No,
that could beat Kansas.
I think people need to watch after UConn though. UConn can be depends on their guard play. UConn's good, but
Derek's got you got UConn in the championship, right?
Yeah, and Wes has them in the Final Four.
All right. Yeah, I have them losing to St. Mary's.
Well, I mean that's
Well, I don't have to worry about that because St. Mary's is losing to VCU.
Right.
Yeah, I really know.
So we'll circle that St. Mary's UConn game if it happens. Let's see. TCU. Yeah, I got them losing to Gonzaga, but that was a tough pick. The TCU Gonzaga game, I think that'll be a good game.
Yo, TCU is pretty good. That's
Right.
gonna be tough for Gonzaga.
Yeah, I think that'll be a really good game. That wasn't an easy pick.
And if Gonzaga makes it through that, that's an achievement. Then they got to play. Probably have to play UCLA. I mean,
and then well, so the problem with UCLA was they have such an easy bracket, but they have so many injuries. I was like, man, they're injured, but then they're not playing anybody.
yeah, that's true.
Well, that's true, but yeah, man, I know it was against Arizona, but I was watching that game and it just ingrained in my brain that they cannot shoot at all.
Right.
I was like, oh my gosh. Like so many wide open threes, and they were just like bricks.
But they have like 3 guys hurt.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
And they're not going to be back either.
Well, I think isn't their big guy coming back?
But he's not going to shoot threes.
Yeah, but that helps them inside.
But losing Clark kind of crushes their momentum.
Oh yeah, it does.
But again, like what they got UNC Asheville, right? And then they got Boise State or Northwestern. And then finally they play, Gonzaga or TCU, most likely. So, I mean, it's hard not to pick UCLA to go to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I got them in the Sweet 16 because it is. But then I have them losing. But
right, me too. But still, it's hard not to get them that far considering who they have to play.
If they were completely healthy, they'd go to the finals.
Oh, I would have them definitely in the Final Four, probably maybe in the national championship game. Yeah. So that kind of gets to the 4 brackets there. So you guys both got Alabama. Yeah, I mean, I think Houston, they'll probably let me down again, but they have 2 really good players also, on their team. And I think as good as Alabama's players.
Yeah,
I've taken Houston, I think, the last 2 years to make it to the finals.
They gotta get there eventually, right?
Each time they couldn't.
You haven't seen my other brackets.
They can't shoot.
I took Creighton the last couple of years. I'm like, screw Creighton. But I started looking at all the numbers. Actually, Creighton's not a bad bet either.
I have Creighton going to the Sweet 16.
Dude, I got them winning in 2 of my brackets.
I actually have them beating Baylor. That was a tough pick.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
Baylor,
but you know what?
I could say that was really hard.
You never know about Baylor. I mean, that's the thing about these teams. You just don't know.
Creighton could lose to NC State, though, in the first round.
They could. Everyone's trashing NC State because, they shouldn't be in the tournament. I'm like, they can beat, they're formidable.
The reason I picked Creighton there is Creighton also has a lot of tournament experience.
They also, overall, they have the best free throw shooting team in the nation.
Right.
They don't have a very good bench. They're not deep, but their starters are really good. And they shoot really good free throws. And that's important in the tournament. So as long as they stay out of foul trouble, they're good.
So look at the first round games. What do you think is going to be some of the best to watch? Like if you're going to get to watch a couple first round games, like what games do you...
Dude, there's so many good games.
Well, let's pick a couple. Let's pick a couple. Dude. Like what if you could only watch a couple, which ones would you watch?
I'm watching them all, Steve. I got my phone ready. Going to be working at home.
Right.
TV on.
Dude,
I know, dude. I have to go to the office tomorrow too.
Games. It's stupid.
You always got to go with the 5-12s, right? All 5-12s
right.
are probably
I think 5-12 games are good. Like so, VCU St. Mary's. I think that's a good game to watch personally. Like I would love to watch that game.
Duke Oral Roberts is going to be a good game. I think.
Good game.
Watch Duke win by like 20.
Yeah, I know.
Auburn.
Apparently,
Auburn.
Virginia Furman is going to be the game to watch. Iowa and who?
Iowa
who's
and
that?
Auburn.
Oh, yeah, that should be a good game.
Yeah.
Here's my other one.
Memphis and Florida Atlantic. That's gonna be a good game.
Yeah.
Florida Atlantic leads the nation in scoring.
8 and 9.
Yeah.
Here's my other one, and this is what's so funny is I'm hedging my bets on UConn, but they're playing Iona in the first round.
Yep.
Ooh. Rick Pitino.
And that's tough because that's Patino, man.
Rick Pitino, man, you never know.
It's I'm very scared. Maybe there might be some text messages to you guys when I change my mind on UConn. I haven't decided yet.
I might switch over to Iona, actually. I think the Michigan State USC game will be fun to watch. I think that's a game to watch. Let's see, anything else here? Oh, Xavier, Kennesaw State.
Mm-hmm. Well, of course.
I don't really know
Tennessee losing to Louisiana.
Oh, right. Yeah, you can't miss that one. So, I mean, I know all the games are good, but there's definitely some games that I want to watch, like I don't want to miss, right?
Well, and that's the good thing about March Madness, and especially in the early games, you don't have to watch them right away.
Right.
You look at the scores and you're like, oh, second half, Duke's losing. I better start watching this game.
Yeah, you switch to the games that are close.
Or you could be like, oh, Duke's up by 30. I guess I don't have to worry about this.
But isn't it crazy that, when that happens, because you got your bracket going, how much of a fan or, how exciting that comes. I know when those games get close or you got an upset picked and they're winning or it's a close game, you're like, man, I don't care. I got to watch this game.
I know last year I did really well in the first round. And then all my Final Four teams lost in the second round.
Yeah, I didn't have a strong first round. I mean, I didn't have a bad first round, but a couple of my teams that were going deep, like Iowa, killed me last year. Mm-hmm. But North Carolina helped me because I had them going all the way, and they got a lot of points from them. And because they're an 8 seed.
Yeah.
So that's what you got to do. You got to figure out that high seed that goes deep because that's where you get all the points, Because not a lot of people have them.
Utah State. Everyone's talking about Utah State. They're really good. But
the problem is I've picked Utah State the last few years and they keep losing for me.
Yeah, you got to forget previous years. You can't let that affect your decisions.
No, honestly, there's a lot. I mean, even teams like Iowa State and Kansas State, you can't. Texas A&M's solid. There's so many good teams. It's very hard to. That's why I did 25 brackets. I'm covering all my bases here. There's so many good teams. This we don't know how.
But Wes, there's only one that matters. There's only one that matters.
The HSC bracket.
The HSC bracket.
You know that.
It's the only one that matters. All right. Well, good stuff. Any final thoughts? We wrap up here. Anything we missed?
It's just one of the most wonderful times of the year, man. We don't watch college basketball all year, and now it's just we're hooked Thursday through Sunday.
I generally get most of the conference tournaments, at least late in the tournament, so I get those games for sure. I do watch Carolina games throughout the year, when I can. It's not like I'm scheduled for everyone, but so I guess I watch a few, but you're right. It's not like NFL.
Well, being a Florida fan, they're dirt garbage right now, so I have no reason to watch college basketball during the season.
Well, Carolina didn't even make the tournament, dude, and
had everyone back.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone back, and they were the preseason number one. Yeah. So Basketball, NBA is getting interesting, so we'll have that. We'll talk about that in the upcoming month or two. Crazy stuff happened throughout basketball this year, but they're in an interesting position. It's that'll be interesting to watch with the play-ins, and there's a lot of people getting close there. But NBA playoffs is always fun too. So
My Knicks
uh,
are decent.
yeah, you got something to cheer for there. And the Blazers got a second mascot.
Oh God.
They had to
That's
get a
not
hipster.
let's just
Had to get
stricken that from our memory
had
banks.
to get a liberal hipster mascot to go along with their other
What are
mascot.
you talking about?
Oh my gosh, Wes.
Look
You don't
it
know?
up, Wes.
All right, we'll look. Oh, shit.
Look it up. The Blazers' new mascot. Well,
Right.
their second mascot because they're not getting rid of Blaze, but they're adding a second.
Right.
So, all right, good stuff. So, everybody, listen.
Oh,
Thanks for
it's
listening.
like it looks like a cross between like a hipster and a Chuck E. Cheese animatronic.
Oh, dude, it's horrible. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Comments always welcome if you're listening on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Anchor. Thanks for listening, and we will see you guys next time.